This report is sponsored by Macy's Backstage. Padres split the doubleheader against the Phillies yesterday, losing in the second game with Dylan Cease on the mound. They'll be back tomorrow against the Texas Rangers. The U.S. men's national team beat Guatemala yesterday 2-1. Diego Luna had 2 goals on the night. They'll be facing Mexico 4 o'clock on Sunday for a shot to win the Gold Cup. They're currently plus 205 to do so. And the Lakers finally got their center, DeAndre Ayton, 2-year, $16.8 million deal coming over from Portland to go alongside Luka and LeBron. Macy's Backstage is a whole new floor inside your Macy's store. And right now, you'll find the latest summer styles all for under $25. With new arrivals every day, you never know what amazing deals you'll find. So don't wait. Find a location at Macy'sBackstage.com. Welcome to the Fletch Zone. Minus Ben Fletcher. We have day 2 of the coach, the one and only Coach John Kentera, joining me, and Marshall's running the board over there, doing a killer job. Coach, how did it feel yesterday?
Oh, felt great, and like I said, I went home. I had a little chicken dinner, watched the Padres, not play so well in the second game. They dropped that. Watched a little bit of the U.S. Team. A nice win. I predicted 2-1 over Guatemala.
You did. Yeah. I should take you to Vegas.
And then I watched just an incredible regular season baseball game last night. I don't know how many people tuned into the White Sox-Dodger game last night, but man, that was unbelievable. Kershaw finally got his 3,000 strikeout on the last batter he faced in the 6th inning, and the Dodgers ended up coming up with 3 runs in the bottom of the 9th to win the ball game. But man, Kershaw didn't have anything last night and struggled through 6 innings, and you could see he was tired. He was stressed out. The fans, I think, were stressed out. Everybody wanted him to get 3,000, and Dave Roberts rolled the dice and kept letting him go. He threw 100 pitches for the first time in 2 years, and that was quite dramatic fashion last night at Dodger Stadium.
Where does that rate for you? Like, what does that really mean to get 3,000 strikeouts as a baseball historian like you?
Well, I think it's incredible considering he's battled so many serious injuries the last few years. I think he's one of the great pitchers in the history of baseball, let alone in my lifetime. I remember him when he got called up. It was a Saturday afternoon, first time I'd ever seen him pitch, and I saw him throw this overhand breaking ball. And I remember my wife was getting ready to walk up the stairs. I go, hey, you can't go up the stairs until you see this guy throw another breaking ball. And a guy that worked a lot with pitchers, I just covet guys like him. And, he became only the 20th pitcher of all time to do it. Only the 4th left-hander all time to do it, and only the 3rd player to do it all with one same team.
Yeah, it was crazy watching that game. It felt like it was really kind of affecting it. We were kind of talking about this before. He looked, terrified on the mound. Obviously, the Dodger announcers were kind of
he looked stressed.
I know, it's like because you felt like he was trying to win the game, and everyone was more focused on him getting the strikeouts. Dodgers do come back there in the 9th inning. Freddie Freeman with the walk-off double. How did you feel about Dylan Cease last night? We were talking yesterday about him pitching, and he kind of what you said kind of came to fruition about how when he's on, but when he's not.
Yeah, he got off to a good start, but you get around the middle of the ball game, he hits that wall, and he can't get through that wall. And they were going up against a pretty good left-hander. And I'm not going to tip my cap here, okay? I'm not Mike Schilt. I'm not going to tip my cap today to Christopher Sanchez, who threw the ball really well last night. He had that good 96-mile-an-hour sinker working, but he got a devastating changeup and really kept the Padres off balance in the entire ball game. And Padres just a rough road trip, 2-4. They ended up. Now I want everybody to brace themselves for this stat. This is unbelievable. I mean, seriously, we know at one point in time they were 1 for 31. They finished the road trip 4 for 45 with runners in scoring position. In one of those hits, they didn't even score a run. The runner had to stop at third base. So, man, rough road trip. I listened to Mike Schilt after the first game yesterday, and he's talking about how they really worked the pitching. I watched the first game before I came in yesterday, and Mick Abel couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. He had a 3-0 count on the retired postal worker that was sitting in the second row. Okay. I mean, he couldn't throw strikes, and they weren't even close. It wasn't like they were tight pitches. I mean, he was almost hitting guys. He was throwing the ball down and away, down and in. He walked 5 guys and couldn't even get through the second inning. So, I'm not going to tell you the Padres had a great eye yesterday because Mick Abel was awful. And the Padres, they were courtesy. They got 3 runs walked in. They walked a total of 9 times, and they had the one big hit by Manny, a 3-run double, base clearing double. But they were gifted that first game.
Yeah, and we were watching, the end of the game live. It was like we were kind of talking before the show. It's looking like 6-0. It was like, all right, you're going to coast into this, not use your high leverage arms going into the doubleheader later in the day. And it feels like with this Padre team, they're good in spurts. And we've seen that early in the year when the crowd at Petco, who's so lively, would kind of get behind it in these late inning rallies. And they just can't put it all together. And you saw, you pointed out yesterday, they got everything they needed to do in that game 1. They got Schwarber up. It was a great high fastball from Suarez that got him. But it's like, it's just nothing comes easy the Padres right now. And 4 for was it 4 for 45? Is it?
Yeah, 4 for 45.
How, like
088.
How is that? Like, what do you even do with that? Like, I don't they're not coming through in big spots. And that's one of the things that show World Series winning teams is how do you hit when there's 2 outs? How do you hit when there's runners in scoring position? It's just this Padre team's kind of hard to assess right now.
Well, it's very hard to assess. And of course, you got some automatic outs, to be honest with you, towards the bottom of the order. Yeah, I don't know what Padres are going to do. I said yesterday, I think right now, they could probably crawl into the playoffs as a wild card team. This team is nowhere near what they were a year ago, not even close. And, with all the pending free agents, there's stories out there that King's going to come back, and then you hear Michael King may not come back. I think Michael King has to be very motivated to want to come back because even though he signed a deal with the Padres for $15 million next year, it's a player option, and if he were to walk away, he'd get like $3.5 million in a buyout, which is ludicrous in my opinion. But he wants to come back and showcase himself for everybody else in baseball. I don't know if the Padres can afford him. I definitely don't think Dylan Cease is going to be back. And you know what? You could probably throw somebody else in there and have just as much effect right now with the rotation. As Cease, he's won 3 games all year long. And what are you going to do with Luis Arraez, a guy that I would like to see come back next year, but I don't know if they can afford him. I have no idea what the ownership is thinking right now, but I'll be honest, if you're going to let these guys walk, you better trade them, and we may need to just regroup and try to rebuild for 2026.
Yeah, the next couple weeks for the All-Star breaks.
I'm not feeling good about this team right now.
Yeah, they're kind of a tough watch. They're a tough watch in general.
Yes, they are.
Every time you get excited about them, you feel like it's 1 step forward, 2 steps back.
Well, look at Fernando.
Yeah, it's like you pointed that out. It's like this. Alan talked about this on Tuesday as well. Like, where's the swag? Where's the guy that you felt early on in the year that was in the NL MVP running and completely felt like
he's not even really an all-star this year. He may get on the all-star team, but he hasn't really earned the all-star team this year. I know he's got 15 home runs, but he's hitting 261, 18 stolen bases, but I don't know about you and the fans out there, but I'm expecting a whole lot more. And I'm starting to wonder, if we've seen the best of Fernando Tatis Jr., he's only 26 years of age. Where is his career headed right now?
Wow.
Will the real Fernando Tatis Jr. please stand up?
100%.
He's my favorite Padre, by the way.
Well, yeah, totally. It's tough to kind of assess where they're at with him right now because it is so streaky. But we'll see. We do a thing every day. 12 o'clock and 1 o'clock. We do the big 3. Marshall, we got that loaded up, ready to go.
Hey, how about Marshall getting a haircut for us today?
Marshall looking
boy, got a nice little trim and clean that beard up a little bit.
I'll try to be Marshall, man. All right, hit the big 3.
Your lunch break is here. Ready to go back to the office and knock the socks off your friends? Coworkers? It's time for the top stories of the day. The big 3.
Coach, all right, Manny Machado selected to another All-Star game. As someone personally who I could care less about who gets selected to All-Star games and who doesn't, maybe that's just me. It's hard for me to get up for All-Star games. How much does that matter to you? How excited do you get when guys get selected to the All-Star game from the Padres?
Well, considering I'm a kid that grew up here in San Diego, and we were always hoping to see our one guy get into the game. The first one, Chris Cannizzaro, the original All-Star for the Padres, 1969. Game in Washington. Got rained out. They played the next day. 10 years old, waiting for Chris Cannizzaro to get in the game. He never got in the game. And, we'd get Johnny Grubb one year. We got Nate Colbert. Of course, we had Randy Jones in both 75 and 76. Randy got the All-Star save in 75, started, went 3 innings in 76, got the win. So I've always loved it when our guys go. But, the last few years, it's only been one guy. But, Manny's very well deserving. I know he's going through kind of a funk right now. Defensively, he hasn't had one of his better years with 11 errors right now. But, he really has carried the ball club for the most part. Got off to a little bit of a slow start, but very well deserving for Manny to make his 7th appearance in the Midsummer Classic.
100%. It's cool for Machado. He deserves it because he is a leader on this team. So when I say that, it's just like me personally. I want to see him have success in October, and I know everyone does. It's just like all-star games for me, whether it's in the NBA, the Pro Bowl, and the NFL. It's tough for me to get up for him.
Here's the deal, Sammy. When I was a kid growing up, these games really mattered.
Yeah.
Okay, you had an American League president, you had a National League president, and then you had the baseball commissioner. Now you only have the baseball commissioner, and he, is just kind of supposed to be a neutral party. But it really meant something. You had guys that actually played all 9 innings. It wasn't like guaranteed that a guy was going to get in. The starting pitchers always traditionally went 3 innings. Now, you don't want to overwork them. They can only go 1 inning.
Yeah, I mean, I miss the days like watching the old, like going to the NBA for a second, like when Kobe and Michael Jordan face off against each other. Like they were taking that seriously, like
especially in the fourth quarter.
Especially in the right, it was like they were like taking it. They were trying to win the game, and theoretically, all-star games are great. You see the best players in the entire league, whatever sport it is, playing. But it is tough sometimes when you see guys just not trying.
Yeah, the Pro Bowl went by the wayside after the 2-hand touch.
The Pro Bowl. You talking about a tough watch,
and it wasn't even a firm 2-hand touch.
100%. All right, story number 2: Lakers finally get our center DeAndre Ayton, 2-year, $16.8 million contract. Where do you think this puts the Lakers in the Western Conference?
Well, I think they obviously become a little bit more of a player than they were yesterday when you and I signed off at 156. I'm excited now. They still have the $5 million deal. Now I would go after the 40-year-old Al Horford. If Al Horford was going to be the guy yesterday before Ayton, not buying it, but I like Horford because he plays both ends of the courts. He can go out and shoot that baseline jumper. He can hit the 3 from on top of the arc if he gets stuck out there every once in a while, but he's a tough defensive presence. Not only that, he's a tough player, and he's going to toughen that Laker ball club up a little bit because there's nights where they play like Charmin.
100%. And what I like about Ayton is, listen, if he's great, the Lakers got a 26-year-old former number 1 overall pick who has flashed at times. I mean, this guy did average 16 points per game, 10 rebounds per game in the playoffs in that playoff run for the Suns when they went to the championship. And I mean, listen, he's averaged 22 with Portland. There's the maturity thing. He's talked about being late for meetings, stuff like that. I think there is something different when you're not in Phoenix. He was supposed to be the top dog. In Portland, he's supposed to be the top dog. You're not the top dog here behind Luka and LeBron.
Well, he was the number 1 overall pick out of Arizona. Very young, very immature. Got caught up in what's going on over there in Phoenix. A couple of different ownerships. Goes to Portland. Didn't work out there. But, you look at his career average. He's averaged over 17 a game for his career. And I think he just kind of, really hasn't broke the ice yet. And over 10 rebounds a game. Not a great defender. I think he'll get better. He's not a shot blocker, but I think he'll get better defensively. He needs to with LeBron and Luka. They're normally pretty much they can't move laterally real well. Let's put it that way. And the other thing, he's really good in pick and roll, and you can lob to him. And that's what Luka needs, is a guy that he can lob the ball to.
Yeah, he needs sort of lob threat. And then to your point about Horford coming off the bench, I would love that. It's a guy with playoff pedigree. Again, is the starting center.
He's tough.
He's tough. He's a guy. I mean, he was basically the starting center for the Celtics when they went on the run, even though Porzingis was the starter. But Porzingis' injuries, Horford is stepping that role. He can shoot threes. He's a veteran presence. It's interesting to see what LeBron's going to do here, because we talked about how he wants to be in a winner this year. Ayton feels like a move for now, but also the future because it's an expiring contract. There's been rumors they're trying to get Wiggins from Miami, but I don't think that deal. They want Rui, first-round picks, and connect. So we'll see.
Okay, Mike Brown's the new head coach. By the way, Mike Brown, an alumnus of USD.
Yeah, yep.
Okay, years ago when he was an assistant I'm talking way back when he was an assistant with San Antonio, he used to come on my show on the old 690. He used to come on my show during the playoffs and give me a playoff report. And I haven't talked to him in many, many years. I'm sure he'd remember me. I certainly remember him. He's been in the NBA now 30 years. Okay.
So that was quickly the third story. What do you think about that to the Knicks?
Well, let's face it. LeBron has always cherished playing in Madison Square Garden. He's not going back to Cleveland. Cleveland doesn't want him. I mean, I can see him going to New York, but you know what? At the end of the day, I think he stays with the Lakers.
Yeah,
he likes attention.
Oh, yes, he does. And it's funny in the Mike Brown thing. It definitely feels like a safe hire for the Knicks. It feels like and he's a really good coach. Not a shot to Mike Brown.
He got a great career regular season record.
Great regular season record.
Man, fantastic.
And to be fair, Tim, when he coached the Lakers and some of those Cavs teams the Lakers were awful when they had Mike Brown. So it's
you know what? He got a raw deal up there in Sacramento. He had a bunch of guys hurt. They were about 6-7 games under 500 early last year, and they let him go. I thought that was a mistake by Sacramento, one of many they've made over the last decade.
100%. We're up against it, so we're going to get to the third story on the other side, but coming up next on the Fletch Zone, Coach is here. Coach is sitting in for Ben Fletcher. We're going to get to the third story, get a little more into these Padres, and get you ready for your 4th of July weekend. Thank you for listening on San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app.
Tim McGraw, and more September 19th and 20th at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. 2 nights, 1 stage. Buy tickets at AXS.com. Get them now before they sell out. Coach, get to our third story. We only got 2 in the last segment. U.S. men's national team beats Guatemala yesterday 2-1. Kind of scary. It was 2-0 early in the game. Luna hits 2 early goals. Guatemala kind of rallies for the rest of the game, but America able to hold them off. Playing Mexico on Sunday, what does that do for you? Like if they win that game, the Gold Cup, does that instill a lot of faith heading into the World Cup for next year, or you still think this team's far off?
Well, I think it's hard to say because you're not playing a lot of your superstars or so-called superstars right now. Obviously, it gives you a little bit of momentum, and it was a good win last night against the Guatemala team that continued to press the game the entire match. Mexico is going to be tough. They're going to be physical. You got to be ready to match their physicality. But if they win, it's great, builds momentum. But again, you don't have a lot of your big stars playing right now.
Yeah, it's funny. You wonder, so Pulisic's not playing, McKinney's not playing. Somebody like Tyler Adams, probably the best player on the team that is playing right now. You're seeing these guys like Luna and Tillman step up. You wonder, I mean, Pulisic's going to have a spot. I'm not saying he's going to get benched, but Pochettino has kind of had this thing where it's like, we're trying to rally and build something. And if you're not here, you're not here. So you wonder how that affects when this is the last competitive kind of competition before the World Cup next year, how that kind of affects them.
Well, we're only time will tell. U.S. soccer on the men's side has been here, there, and everywhere. It's been, quite frankly, a little bit disappointing. I remember 35 years ago, and then 25 years ago, then 15. Oh man, United States is really going to make a dent. Well, they haven't made a dent in the world stage. Let's be honest. The women have done that numerous times, and they're going through a transition right now. But men's soccer at the national level for our U.S. team's been, I think, overall, the last several years been very disappointing and very dysfunctional at times.
Yeah, completely. And it's just kind of a revolving door, and you feel like, it is America, even though it's not the #1 most popular sport, that we could put out a little bit of product down there every year. But, quickly flipping into the Padres, Coach, you guys said something in the last break about, this, you don't like where the team's at right now. And you think that they should probably, if the way it continues it's going, sell off some assets, try to get this thing back. How do you who would be the first asset to go, you think?
Well, first of all, I want to go back to a statement you made yesterday. You can't stand pat. Okay. And that could be the worst thing they could do. But I think you got to be honest. And none of us want to wave the white flag. Okay. Let's face it. We got an MLS franchise here that's thriving right now, doing a great job, and hopefully they win the MLS Cup. Okay. I don't know where it's headed, but they've had a fun first year to this point. You got a baseball team that has been on the brink of maybe, breaking through. You go back a couple of years ago in the NLCS, they got beat by Philadelphia. Last year, it looked like they were going to take the Dodgers down, and then they won 24 straight innings without scoring a run. We want this team to win so bad, but we've got to be realistic about where we're at right now. This is not a great baseball team. We don't have all of our pitchers, and there's talk that maybe Yu Darvish will come back on Sunday. I'm not holding my breath on that one. I don't know if Michael King's going to come back. But you've got a lot of free agents, and you've got a barren farm system right now. I think the Padres could probably find a way to eke it out and get into the playoffs. Okay. But at the end of the day, that could be the worst thing that could happen, because you hang on to a bunch of guys and you get nothing at the end of the year. Okay, when they walk away and go to other ball clubs. I think you've got to replenish the farm system. And, we got to maybe take a step or two back to go a couple steps forward next year. And again, I think the real unknown factor here is, where is ownership on this ball club? Do they want to invest? How much do they want to invest? Are we going to be players at the trading deadline next offseason? With a bunch of guys leaving, we're going to have to obviously go out and bring some guys in to be real competitive. I don't see the Dodgers not winning this division for several years. Okay. If they want to win it, they can go win it, because they'll go and pay whatever they need to. I mean, you've seen Mark Walder buying the Lakers now for $10 billion. I mean, I think the Dodgers can probably be buyers at the trading deadline, and they may have to be, depending on what happens today with Max Muncy. But with the Padres, unless they really have a really good 10-game stretch here and come back after the All-Star break when they start on the road for 10 games and, say win 14 out of 20, right now, I think they got to be sellers.
So that's interesting, because
I mean, last year they were 50-50 and then went on the run, and people seem super high on
I don't think this is the same team.
That's what's like. It's weird how, but I'm with you. The vibe is off, even though they're above 500. If you would have said before the season that, what are they, 46-39 right now, or 46-40?
Yeah.
It's like you. I think a lot of people would have taken that. But it's odd how it does. I think it's that it goes into that the expectations were raised and people were really excited thinking that.
Well, also take a look, and you had a stat yesterday. I don't know if you have that with you, but the Padres are awful against teams above 500.
17-33 now.
Yeah, 17-33 against winning ball clubs. That's not good.
Yeah, and then that's who you're going to be facing in the postseason. It's like it does feel like June was a real opportunity after it looked good when they started 2-0 against the Giants and beating their two best pitchers, and Webb and I'm blanking on the other guy's name, but like it felt like it was going to be really good. Then you blow the final two games.
Landon Roop,
exactly. Like it feels like ever since they just are kind of in a free fall, and they're not, even though they won the Royal Series and things like that, they're not dominating. They're not sweeping like they should be in an uber competitive division where you need to really. But I'm with you. I think the division's probably over. Maybe that helps them. That you're kind of thinking about the wild card.
Over. Dodgers play tonight. Dodgers win tonight. There'll be 9 games up on the Padres.
It's crazy thing that 3 weeks ago was literally the Padres were playing a time.
When they were playing up at Dodger Stadium, they had a chance to go into first place.
Unbelievable. Crazy. Coming up on the Fletch Zone, I got a question to ask Coach. As someone who has covered San Diego sports for 40 years, I think this is something that people are going to be curious about. It's coming up on that. Talking a little Padres and little Chargers, a little back in the day.
Chargers
so, on San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app.
to be the center of the Lakers. That comes after Jake LaRavia signed a 2-year, $12 million contract to come over from the Sacramento Kings. And the U.S. men's national team playing Sunday at 4:00 against Mexico to win the Gold Cup. USA is currently plus 205 on the money line. Mexico's plus 160, while a draw is plus 195. Macy's Backstage, the whole new floor inside your Macy's store. And right now, you find the latest summer styles all for under $25 with new arrivals every day. You'll never know what amazing deals you'll find. So don't wait. Find a location at Macy's Backstage.com. Welcome back to the Fletch Zone. Sammy Long, Marshall running the board over there, and Coach Kentera sitting in for Ben Fletcher. So I live in San Diego for the last 12 years. You've been in San Diego forever. Marshall is from San Diego. I was curious about, I was talking with a couple of friends about this. So I have a lot of
congratulations. You got a couple of friends.
A couple of them have hung around, just a few of them. But I was asking them, so they remain Charger fans after they left. They're all my age. And I was asking them, I was like, what, like, cause a lot of people are like, they're dead to me. I don't want to talk about them.
How long have they been in therapy?
A long time, not enough time. But I was like, what made you want to still be a Charger fan? And they were kind of talking about how they're like, listen, I'm pissed that they left, but I don't have anyone else to root for. And I'm not going to root for the Rams because they're from LA. And, the Cardinals kind of the closest team, and not the Cardinals have been relevant in years. But I'm curious because the national media back in the day kind of made this narrative that somehow San Diego didn't have good football fans, which is obviously ridiculous.
Obviously, whoever wrote those articles never came to San Diego.
100%. I mean, the stadium was terrible, and people supported the Chargers, and the Chargers didn't always give the best product to be supporting. So San Diego, I think that narrative was terrible. But back in the day, I'm curious. You've covered this team forever, San Diego. Was this a baseball town always, or was this a football town?
Well, first of all, it's always been a good baseball town, even when it was a bad product. Okay. I mean, you can go back to the 70s. There weren't a lot of people that came out, but, I think when you got into the 90s and you got Ray Kroc had some good years. Don't get me wrong. They went to the World Series in '84, and he went out and spent a lot of money in free agents, bringing guys in here, bringing in a lot of name players. And the Padres were always a franchise, the little gutty Padres, okay? And everybody liked going to a ball game like we talked yesterday. Everybody swung a baseball bat at the Easter picnic, and everybody thinks they know a little bit about it. It's a fun family environment. And then you had Larry Lucchino and Charles Steinberg come in here when John Moores bought the ball club, and they had some bad ball clubs early on, but man, they packed that ball club. Lucchino and Steinberg were marketing geniuses, okay? And they get 50,000 fans on a night for the Eric Owens Dirty T-shirt contest on a ball club that I think ended up losing 98 games. But as far as the Chargers, I think the Chargers they started when they came down from LA after that 1 year. They played at Balboa Stadium, and they developed a following. And simultaneously, Don Coryell came to San Diego State. And Don Coryell threw the football. Sid Gilman, the head coach, general manager of the Chargers, threw the football. So San Diego, they always played high flying, exciting football. And, when the Chargers could throw the ball, fans came out. And, I think the fans didn't do anything to lose the Chargers. It was a combination of lack of leadership in our government. There's a variety of mayors and city council people that played a part in it, but ultimately Dean Spanos is the one that signed off and made the decision to move up to LA. And I never thought he would do it. I remember talking with Dean one year, face to face in a private conversation. He goes, "I'll never move this ball club," but he ended up moving it. I'm not a Charger fan. My wife goes, "Why do you want to watch the Charger games every Sunday?" I go, "Because I want to watch them to get beat." Okay, whoever the Chargers are playing, that's who I'm rooting for. I root for the 49ers now because John Lynch played for me at Torrey Pines, and Johnny and I have an incredible relationship. I text him before every game, about an hour and a half to 2 hours before a game. Here's his general manager, and he writes back to me, okay? And, it's just, hey, good luck, or, something happened locally that, you want to be aware of. Now, I would tell you this. I want to see an NFL team come back here. I don't know what you're going to do for a stadium. You'd have to build a stadium, and it's kind of like the arena. We want to get an NBA team here. We want to get a hockey team here, but nobody's going to move here without our arena. And nobody's going to build an arena unless they know a hockey or basketball team are going to come. So, if Johnny Lynch were to leave the 49ers someday, I don't know where he plans on living, whether he's coming back to San Diego or staying in the Bay Area. But, he's still young. If he were to leave the 49ers, in the next 4 to 5 years and decided, I don't want to be a GM, he comes back here, I'd certainly sit down and say, hey, Johnny, who do you know? Who have you met along the way that would like to bring a San Diego team back to San Diego? And I think Johnny would be on board with that. He's born and raised here in San Diego.
So, yeah, I was curious about that. Marshall, I want to hear your thoughts.
He was born in Illinois, but he was raised here.
He was raised here, exactly. Because, my pops, I'm a diehard Kansas City Chiefs fan. Grew up, my whole family's from Kansas City. So I was kind of born and bred into it. Was never a Charger guy, but I was just curious as someone who's from San Diego, like back in the day. And it's easy to, obviously you're like, screw them now. But like, what was your go-to? Like, what was this a Charger town or was this a Padre town?
It was, I think it was kind of big time for both because Air Coryell, that's when I remember watching football. And remember going to Jack Murphy, and it was like an event. You go tailgate, you can run around. The kids were running around the corridor, walking through the stadium. I mean, it was such an amazing vibe there. But I'm like with Coach, I'm a San Diego Charger fan, not the LA Chargers. I think that the way they left and just completely turned their back on the fan base in San Diego, where you had Phillip Rivers, saying, "Oh, we want to win your trust, LA. We want to win your fans." Like, what about us? I remember they used to have a training camp at UCSD. I was part of Upper Bound program.
The best.
I remember meeting Dan Fouts. I get autographs, and kids were up there. It was definitely a city vibe, but I tried to root for them. I just couldn't. I'm like with Coach. It's so emotionally unattached now watching the Chargers Charger. Now I don't have to get, oh my gosh.
I had no idea we were going to talk about the Chargers today, but this brings back a lot of memories, a lot of good memories. I knew a lot of these guys back in the mid-90s and early 2000s. 94 was the first year that I covered the Chargers morning, noon, and night. I was out at UCSD every morning doing live reports. I'd be there in the afternoon, and I'll tell you how close I was to these guys and how it was different with the media. I mean, I used to eat lunch. That 94 season was the first year Rodney Harrison was here, and for some reason, Rodney and I kind of connected. Okay, why? I don't know. He was a young kid, played at Western Illinois, just a great hard-nosed guy. And we got to eat with the Chargers. We got to eat in the dining hall over at UCSD. And Rodney and I had lunch together a couple of times. But, there was downtime, between the morning practice and the afternoon practice. And I could, walk around, or I go sit in my car and wait for the guys to come out. They normally started at 3:15. Bobby Ross was the head coach. And I remember David Binn, their longtime center. He was a rookie that year as well. And John Carney was the kicker. Gail Gilbert was the holder, backup quarterback. Brian Wagner, a local kid out of Hilltop High School, was the punter. Darren Bennett was on the practice squad. He wasn't. So I would go down at like 2:45. These guys would come out. And Ben would be snapping to Gil Gilbert. Carney would be kicking the ball through the uprights. Well, here I am. I got my little bag on my shoulder. I got nothing to do, and I want to help the ball club, okay? So I would go behind the goalpost, and I would actually catch John Carney's kicks.
That's
and then I would throw it back to David Ben. So I developed a great relationship with these guys. I got news for you now. If you were a media guy trying to do that now, they'd go absolutely crazy on you. But, that's the way it was back in those days. The UCS training camps were fantastic. I must have did at Junior's restaurant, Junior Sayals there in Mission Valley. I probably did 300 shows out of that because I was doing the Charger post-game show, right after the games. And then I do a Monday night show. I do my high school show there on Friday nights. A lot of great memories, a lot of really good guys on that ball club back then.
My favorite memory, first off, we beat Miami on the road. No, they came here that season, and going to watch Pittsburgh lose. They were the high-octane Steelers, and when Dennis Gibson knocked down that ball, and I jumped so high, everybody in the house, it was such an euphoric feeling with the whole city. My only regret is not going down to the Murph when they all came back for that celebration.
Well, I was there. Okay, here I was. I was at, I think it was the La Jolla Marriott. I think where we had the viewing party, and I had to do the postgame show. I had to drive down to Fifth Avenue, and I was driving a Narrow Star van. And Market Street back then was kind of it could still be a little bit tough, but it was real tough back in the mid-90s, okay? There were people in the middle of the street when I'm driving down to trying to find a parking spot after Dennis Gibson batted it down. The Chargers went. I got to hustle down there. I was doing the show with a girl by the name of Ginny Zelasco, who been on TV for years, and Ginny's a great girl, and we had a lot of fun together. And I just remember we were at a place called Brewski's on the corner of Fifth Avenue, right across kind of catty corner from the old spaghetti factory. And I had girls dancing with their buttocks in my face when I'm trying to read what Stan Humphries and Natron Means were doing.
They're twerking on you, coach.
Oh, it was unbelievable. So then we get done, and I can't remember what time we signed off. It was probably 4 o'clock. 5. It was an early morning game back in Pittsburgh. So post game show got on about 1:30. So maybe by the time I got home, it was about 5:30. I'm going back to the stadium, and so I get all cleaned up. I went to the stadium, and this is a great story. It almost turned out to be a really bad story for me. But anyways, I was on the air. I went down to the field, and Steve Hartman, who's going to join us a little bit later in the program,
1:30 today.
He was down on the field, and the team came in from the right center field, big garage door they opened up. And I'll never forget, Bobby Ross was up on stage. Pat Kern, who was the traveling secretary, former tight end for the Chargers, on the broadcast team with Hacksaw, and Jim Laslovic. And they've got the AFC Championship trophy. And they go, "Where's the trophy?" And Pat Kern goes, "Oh, it's right there." So he comes running with it, and he trips over Stanley Richards' bag and stumbles, and the trophy is coming right for my forehead.
No
And
way.
I'm going, "Oh my!" And luckily, I got my hands up, and I stopped it from hitting me in the forehead. It cut my head wide open. So I ended up getting the trophy, and I turned around and handed it to Bobby Ross on the stage. And then I was on the air with a couple of other guys until midnight that night. But that was the most amazing night I ever spent in sports anywhere, let alone in my hometown of San Diego. They said there were 75,000. I got news for you. There were about 85,000 because Bill Wilson, the old stadium manager, was standing next to me when I was down on the field. And he got really, really concerned because people were going out on areas they had no business going because they were very concerned about how sturdy it was. And it was an amazing night.
Historic.
We got text rolling in. 858. The Chargers are letting my ex-girlfriend who cheated on me with the guy at work. They said not to worry about. 858 said 100% ST has always been a baseball town. Growing up at ST, I've been about 40 to 45 Charger games. Take out the playoff games. I've only seen more Charger fans at 2 to 3 of those games. From 1990 to 2016, every single visiting team took over the Murph. So we're up against it here. But you got a problem with them having practices down here or no?
Well, I can't go. I mean, they're only going to allow military members, which is great. I mean, I think you get your families out there acclimated. I think it's great. And I think they're going to have season ticket holders from San Diego can go, but guys like you and me can't go. Marshall's a veteran. Maybe he could talk his way in if he has the right credentials, but it's all propaganda.
I have a problem with it. It's like rub it in your face. We're never coming back. We have this brand new facility, training facility, but we're going to give you a little taste and we're leaving again. So,
and you know what? They should be pretty good this year, but we've said that a million times. I think they got a pretty good ball club up there, but at the end of the day, is anybody talking Charger football on any of the radio stations up there? Absolutely.
No.
Now they're not even talking about the Rams. It's all about the Dodgers and Lakers and
the Raiders
and USC football and what Lincoln Riley's going to get done. They're so far down on the food chain in the sports industry. You need a magnifying glass to find them.
Yeah, it's a bummer. Obviously, should have stayed in San Diego.
One last thing on it: the Chargers will always Charger.
Yes, they will. As a Kansas City Chiefs fan, I can confirm that. Coming up next on the Fletchstone, guess what? It's the best time of day. We got long shots. We're making everybody money. Okay. Last night we had a little bit of tough. I take blame from Malik Tillman. Thought Kershaw was going to come in there, but guess what? We hit the other day, so we're going to come back. We're going to hit you one going into the weekend. Joey Chestnut may or may not be making an appearance.
He's
on
supposed to tomorrow.
Yeah,
he's supposed to eat tomorrow.
I know he may or may not be in long shot. So tune in next segment. Thank you for listening on San Diego Sports 760.
Where's Kobayashi?
Live on the iHeartRadio
I want to come
app.
back from Kobayashi.
cars. Tell your member of Congress pass legislation now and keep AM radio in cars. Standard message and data rates apply. Guys, let's pass it. Then I got to get a new job. You know, I've already been through Indeed, so that doesn't work out so well for me. You know what I mean? But we got 4th of July weekend. Hope everyone's having a fun little celebration tomorrow. We got a lot going on. So we obviously got baseball, got a little WNBA, Wimbledon's in full swing right now. We got the hot dog eating contest. So as we've been doing, we do with all the guest hosts, we're doing a special long shot. So Marshall's gonna give a pick. Coach Kentera is gonna give a pick. I'm gonna give 2 because one, well, you'll see. Marshall, we got the imaging up. All right, let's hit it. Let's go to long shot.
Let's see. Underdogs? Nah, that's old. Those with a less than good chance of winning? Too wordy. Wait, got it. It's time for Sammy's long shots.
All right, Coach, let's start with you. What's your pick for tonight?
I'm going to go with a local girl, Kelsey Plum. Los Angeles Sparks, they play the New York Liberty tonight. I think she's at 18.5 points. I'm going to say Kelsey's going to have a big night. She's going to get the Sparks going. They're not a great team, but I think she's going to have a good night. She'll score over 18.5. Probably get to the charity stripe a few times tonight as well. So I feel pretty comfortable about that.
I like that. Okay, Kelsey Plum over 18.5 points. Marshall, what we got over there?
I got Washington, Nationals pitcher Jake Irvin, less than 17.5 pitching outs. I think Detroit is hot. Those bats are hot.
Yeah, they're a tough ball club.
Okay, I like that. All right, so I got 2. Okay, we're going quick little boxing over the weekend. Jack Catterall fight going on overseas in England. He's a really good fighter in the 140, 147 pound division. So with him, he's really good. He's a volume puncher. He's fought Josh Taylor, took him to the mat. It was a bad decision. It was called Josh Taylor got the win a couple years ago, but he should have won. In the rematch, Catterall got him back and took Josh Taylor out. But he's fighting a guy in Harlem Eubank. Catterall, I'm putting the numbers at 110.5 total punches landed. We're going more than because I think this is a 12-round fight. Again, volume puncher, really creative, goes from a lot of angles, really rising up in the welterweight division, except I don't think he gets the knockout because he doesn't have lethal power. His only shot to get a knockout is a straight left down the middle, but I think that Eubank's a little bit of a crafty fighter and can evade it for a little bit.
Nice breakdown, Angelo Dundee.
All right, and then, of course, we're all going to be watching. Well, real quick, do you watch the hot dog eating contest, Coach?
Yeah. I get a kick out of it. I like Kobayashi. You know, he won it 6 times in a row, but he retired. And Joey Chestnut is just dominated. But last year, he was in a contractual dispute and didn't eat.
Okay, so Marshall, can you stomach it? Does it bother you watching the hot dog eating contest?
Yes. I think that is just the nastiest thing, soaking up those bread into.
I've been sitting here in the studio and
you're gonna watch it for 10 minutes.
Yeah, it's an interesting watch. But guess what? If you're you have a little cookout, you got the TV on the background, you're gonna turn it on. So Joey Chestnut.
Yeah, but I got news for you. I'm not having hot dogs after watching that. I'm having burgers.
Joey Chestnut. His number's at 71.25 hot dogs eaten in 10 minutes.
That's a lot.
You think less than?
I'd say right around 67.
67. Marshall, what do you think? This is a communal vote. We're going less than?
And this is his first time coming back, right?
They had last year off.
I think he's ready. I think he's going to go ahead and gorge himself. What is that, gluttony from that movie 7?
Maybe he's been doing 2 a day. Maybe he's ready.
2 a day. How do you even train? Like, I don't understand. Like, how do you get into eating a hot dog eating contest?
I don't know, but I got to believe this can't help when he gets a little bit older.
The Glitzinator.
The Glitzinator. Okay, so just to recap, Marshall, give me your pick one more time.
I got Jake Irvin from the Washington Nationals, less on the 17.5 pitching outs.
Less than 17.5 pitching outs. Coach?
I've got Kelsey Plum going for over 18.5 tonight against the Liberty.
Okay, I got Jack Catterall going more, 110.5 total punches landed versus Harlem Eubank boxing. And we got Joey Chestnut, communal. Coach thinks he's going to get 67. If Coach calls that he gets 67 hot dogs eaten, that might be the call of a lifetime. 71.25 hot dogs eaten. We're going less than. Yeah, this is what I love about Prize Picks. I mean, you can literally bet on a hot dog eating competition.
Have you ever... Either one of you guys ever taken a hot dog in a bun and dipped it in water?
No.
That's what they do.
Not on purpose, Coach.
That's what he does.
See, I can't. I love a hot dog, but it's already odd. And it's already it's.
Have you like everything on it?
What are you ketchup on a hot dog guy or mustard?
More mustard, mayonnaise.
Oh no.
Pickle relish, some onions.
You go mayonnaise and ketchup?
No, I don't have ketchup on mine.
Oh, okay.
I'm not a big ketchup guy except on fries.
See,
Nothing
Marshall.
for me. Nothing.
Yeah, I
Plain
can't.
hot dog.
I can't do mayo on a hot dog. Are you? It's we're debating. I had an argument with my family because I want Italian sausages tomorrow and not just hot dogs. But then I was told that was un-American. So
Okay, you have a little bit of both.
that's what I said. Exactly.
That's what America's all about, man.
I served our country for you to have that choice.
Thank you, Marshall. Shout out to Marshall, serve our country.
I'm going to the fair tomorrow.
You going to the fair tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm going early, and then I'll be home in time for the Padres early ball game at about 3:40. I'm going to get down to the fair at like 11 o'clock.
Which rides you getting on, Coach?
Probably bumper cars.
Is it bad that I've lived in San Diego for 12 years and I've never been to the fair?
You don't get out much.
Yeah, I'm a homebody. I've been to the racetrack a gazillion times.
And I can't wait
for
Vegas.
I can't wait for the track to open up. I love going to the track.
That's like my favorite. If someone's visiting from San Diego, the first thing I take them to is Del Mar Racetrack. I absolutely love it. I've had some success there gambling as well.
I heard you're big on opening day at the track.
Big opening day guy.
Huh?
I got the hat, the suit.
Never been to Del Mar Racing.
Well, we're going. We're all three of us are going to go.
There it is.
All the listeners are invited as well.
It's awesome.
You gonna have your top hat too, Coach?
My top hat. You know, when I was a kid, my dad was really into it, and we used to go down there 2 to 3 days a week. My dad ran a bar in Leucadia. And we would go down there for about 5 races. Dad would go home, take a quick nap, get dinner, and he'd work till 2 a.m. And we'd go right back down there the next day for 4 or 5 races. And Dad made a few house payments over the years by
Shout out
having
to
some
Pops.
good days. But no, I used to spend a lot of time at the paddock area and talk to a lot of the jockeys. And I even, got taken out of school a few times where I could get down there for, in those days, it wasn't the Pacific Classic. It was called the Del Mar Futurity. That was a big closing day race. And Mom would get me out at 3 o'clock so I could get to the track to watch the
Exactly.
race.
I mean, listen, you can study in school or you can check the horses out beforehand and make sure you got a good bet on them. You know what I mean?
I saw Bill Shoemaker break Johnny Longden's record, and I actually went to school with Johnny Longden's granddaughter and grandson. He was one of the famous jockeys of all time.
That's what I'm talking about. All right, coming up hour 2, Coach Kentera hanging with us, Marshall as well. We're going to get more. We're getting the big 3 top stories of the hour, more into the Padres, more into the Lakers, some NFL. We got everything for you next hour. So come on back on San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app.
and 44. That game will go on tomorrow on July 4th at 3:40. Kumar Rocker will be going for the Rangers, while Randy Vasquez will be going for the Padres, and the U.S. men's national team going for the Gold Cup Sunday at 4 o'clock against Mexico. USA is currently plus 205 on the money line, while Mexico is plus 160. A draw is sitting there at plus 195. It's cake batter. It's cookie dough. It's the new Superman cake batter cookie dough blizzard treat, now participating DQ locations for a limited time. Flying today for this cosmic collision of flavor, and don't miss Superman, only in theaters July 11th. DQ, happy tastes good. Welcome to the Fledge Zone, hour number 2. Coach Kentera sitting in. You can always check him out on San Diego Sports Talk. It's a great live show a few days a week. And Marshall chilling on the board. We got into last hour a little bit of 4th of July. Are you big fireworks guy?
Where we live in Solana Beach, I'm able to actually watch them from my house. And like I mentioned earlier, we're going to go to the fair tomorrow. We're going to get out of there before it gets kind of wild down there. But for 11 years, when I was a kid, from 13 to 25, I actually worked at the fair, and I did a variety of different things. I went from telling people to pull up to the white line and having them stop out in the parking lot, to driving a tram, to working the VIP gate. I used to let Don Diego and the Ferris of the Fair in. Last year that I worked there many, many years ago, I worked what they called the truck gate. I was in charge of letting people on and off, and I worked from 12 at night to 8 in the morning because I was coaching junior college baseball, and I was teaching at Maricosta College. So, I wanted to, make that extra money. So I worked the graveyard shift. But yeah, I worked down there for 11 years. I know where all the bodies are buried, and I know what goes on late at night in the fun zone with the sword eating guy and the people down there.
Coach got
crazy.
a little dirt.
Little crazy down at the fair, but you know what? To their credit, they've cleaned that thing up over the years. It's really enjoyable, and my wife and I are looking forward to going through all the exhibits tomorrow and doing some of the fun things down there. It'll be a fun 3 or 4 hours walking around.
Hell yeah, Marshall, you big fireworks guy. What you got going on for the 4th?
Might see me running around SeaWorld catching some fireworks. I haven't been out, I catch it here and there. I live in Claremont, so I see it all over, but I'm going to actually go to SeaWorld this year. Might check it out, just do the whole vibe.
I got banned from doing fireworks at the family gatherings.
Well, that's probably a good idea,
because I one year I didn't, so I bought fireworks and I didn't look at it because I'm me and I'll be paying attention. And so I bought, it happened to be a mortar shot firework, but I thought it was just a little fountain, a little small one. So I put it on this rock, and the whole family, extended family, sitting up top on the deck. And so it starts, me and my friend, we shoot it off, and it kicks the rock out and then starts firing at the house. So we all had to duck behind pillars. So unfortunately, it started a little fire in the woods. We had to go stomp out. So unfortunately, I have been banned from all firework related activities. I just have to watch it on the bay.
Well, I was just looking at both of your hands. You still have all your digits, so you're very, very lucky. I know a guy one time that, unfortunately, this is a long, long time ago. He was working with fireworks, and something went wrong, and he ended up losing his thumb over it. So if you are going to shoot off fireworks that aren't, maybe where they're supposed to be shot off, be very, very careful.
Yeah, let the firecracker go early. 858 agrees with you, Coach. Says mayo on hot dogs is fantastic. His brother, it goes crazy.
Yeah, that's good. I've always liked that. For some reason, I like ketchup, but I don't like it on my hot dog.
Yeah, I can't stand the mixing of ketchup and mustard. I like mustard on a dog. Mayo, I'm very weird about. I can only do that on like a tuna sandwich. It's about it. But I'm picky, so we'll see. But all right, we do the big 3. Hour 1 and hour number 2. Marshall, we got that image you got right here. Perfect. Let's throw it to the big 3.
Your lunch break is here. Ready to go back to the office and knock the socks off your friends? Coworkers? It's time for the top stories of the day. The big 3.
All right, story number 1, start with the Padres. I'm going to read this text first, and then I want to have kind of that be the story, react to it. So 619 says a little while ago, is anyone going to tip their cap to Dylan Cease this season? Doesn't really feel like it. How would you assess Dylan Cease, and has he pitched like the ace that we all expected him to be coming into the season?
Oh, absolutely he hasn't. 3-8 and a 4.62. I'll let everybody else decide on that, but And I like Dylan Cease as a person. I think he's a good guy. I think he's got incredible ability. It hasn't worked out for whatever reason. I think right now you could trade him, get what you can for him. And, you can't be all that worse off. I mean, the guy's only won 3 games and his ERA is over 4.5.
Yeah, it's frustrating with Dylan Cease. You thought and I like Dylan Cease, but it felt like this was with Michael King going down for a long stretch of time, Yu Darvish not being available to this point in the season. This was really an opportunity for him to be the ace on the pitching staff that we all know he could be. And I mean, he really didn't start out of the gate great either. And he's had these spot moments where he's been good. That one start against the Dodgers.
He got incredible stuff. He just can't harness it and command it for long periods of time.
Yeah, it's frustrating to watch because you really feel like this team, especially with the struggles with the bats, with the not being consistent night in, night out. I mean, you had the great stat earlier, 4 for 45 runners in scoring position.
That's painful.
I mean, how are you supposed to win games like that? It's kind of amazing that the pitching staff has even kept them in some of these games, even with the bullpen arms being taxed.
And that pitching staff's wearing down.
Yeah, and I think that's what we saw the first month of the season when everyone's healthy. The Padres can compete with a lot of teams, and unfortunately now it's wearing on them a little bit. But story number 2, NBA free agency just came and passed. What team to you got much better after free agency that you're looking at heading into next year? You think it's going to be a team to be reckoned with?
Well, I think the Lakers. I mean, I don't know a lot about Jake LaRavia. I know his numbers, and, he plays about 20 minutes a game, but I've always liked Ayton. And when Ayton went to Portland, I was hoping he'd come to the Lakers. And, I think the Lakers are going to be a lot better. And if they can get Horford would bring a lot of leadership. And I think he would be a guy that I think LeBron would listen to. How about that?
Oh, okay. Right.
Al Horford commands a lot of respect. He's a classy guy. He's won every place he's ever been. He's always been a star player. He's never been a guy that, is a malcontent. And I think LeBron would have to, if Horford had something to say, I think LeBron would listen seriously.
And in terms of the whole team, Horford, I mean, the Lakers.
By the way, I hated Florida when he was there. Okay. No, I hated those guys.
Yeah.
But I've got the most respect in the world for Al Horford. He's been a great pro. And like I said yesterday on the show, for me, he's a Hall of Famer.
Totally. And the Lakers have needed multiple centers. It's not just Ayton's a really good ad. And I'm really excited about DeAndre Ayton going into next season as potential third or fourth.
How about Maxi Kleber? Is he going to make this ball club?
I think he'll make the roster. And there's some room for him, especially if you don't make him play traditional center. He's really a 4, and they tried him in the playoff game 5. He hadn't played all season. And
he had played as much as I had.
Yeah, I mean, they throw him in there, and, JJ Redick wouldn't go back to Jackson Hayes against Rudy Gobert when Gobert had, 23 points?
He didn't even play in game 5.
No.
Jackson Hayes did not play in game 5, and he played about 10 minutes a game in the first 4 games.
And what was frustrating is they were decimating them inside. So I'm excited about Ayton. Horford, you need another center. They've been calling Phoenix about Nick Richards, trying to get some guys in there. You need a multitude. I mean, look what happened when Luka's had success. Look when the Lakers won the chip. JaVale McGee, Dwight Howard, multiple centers. When Luka went to the finals, Daniel Gafford, Derek Lively. They had multiple centers and bigs that throw that way. Luka, you got the shot creation with Luka.
I like JaVale McGee.
Oh, he was fun to watch, and he ran the floor extremely well. In terms of a team I thought got better, I do think the Lakers got better. I think they're good. The easy answer is the Mavs. I don't know. I don't see them because they have to be fully healthy. And Klay Thompson has not shown to me, as well as Anthony Davis, and Kyrie Irving's going to be out for most of the season next year, that they got that much better. Houston's going to be a force to be reckoned with, but at the same time, I think that they, I don't know if Kevin Durant as the number 1 of a team is going to lead to a championship anymore. I would say it pains me. The Denver Nuggets did get better, bringing Bruce Brown back. I like them shipping Michael Porter Jr. out and getting Cam Johnson back. He's a really good defender.
The Joker makes everybody else better, by the way.
Yeah, and he's got Valanciunas alongside him. So he's got another center. So
and he's getting in shape. I heard he's losing weight.
Him and Luka on that offseason on that green juice program. All right, so let's hit a little NFL. We got training camps open. Can you believe this, Coach? In a week and a half.
That's amazing.
Week and a half. Some of the best times of the year.
You play fantasy football?
Oh, do I play fantasy football? Hell yeah. Do you play fantasy football?
I didn't the last couple of years, but the last year I played. My son-in-law, he's my general manager. We won a league, and then a number of years prior to that, the first year I ever played, I played in an ESPN league, and we won. And then the second year, my wife said, she goes, "You're busy enough. You don't need to be on the phone on Saturday night, moving your players around."
I love it.
She goes, "You're taking this a little too serious."
Hey, fantasy football serious business. I remember I would in school, I'd have breaks. We'd have like a little, not recess, but like a little extended break between 8:45 and 9. And I would always get in trouble because we'd be trying to get our waiver claims in because everything's changed at 9 o'clock. So I had one teacher that was cool, but let us for 15 minutes our class do waiver claims. Shout out to Miss Spillane at Rancho Bernardo High School. But so yeah, fantasy football, serious business. We got a big league here. I have a problem with how it's run. I've been very clear on the air about this. Eddie Papani runs it from the Rock Show. His scoring's terrible, but that's a story for another day.
But he's the commissioner. When I won the ESPN league, by the way, the name of my team is the Solana Beach Untouchables. Okay.
Hey,
and we had hats made up and everything. But when we won the ESPN league, we got a certificate.
You did?
Yeah, I was all excited. We got a certificate.
The Godfather, Coach Kentera.
The Godfather. That's and then look at the NFL specifically. What player, coach, what quarterback next year has the most pressure going into it to get ahead and win a Super Bowl?
Oh, wow, that's a tough one. You know what? I think it's probably Brock Purdy because he's going to get this big contract. They're going to expect big things out of him. You could say Aaron Rodgers, but I'm not really expecting a whole lot from Aaron Rodgers and the Pittsburgh Steelers, even though I enjoy watching the Steelers play. I think everybody expects Aaron Rodgers to lead them to the promised land. But I think Brock Purdy, because he's getting a big deal, and he was Mr. Irrelevant, and the 49ers are sold on him. So I think probably Brock Purdy because, hey, I think there's a lot of pressure on Kyle Shanahan. I don't think we were talking about John Lynch earlier. I don't think John Lynch has a lot of pressure on him. I think this comes down to Shanahan because I'll be honest with you. In both Super Bowls that they've gotten to and lost, Shanahan let those games get away, especially that first time against Kansas City. They had the lead with 7.5 minutes to go, and he kept wanting to throw the football rather than running the football with a good offensive line.
And with the offensive coordinator with the Falcons, that was the famous Brady comeback.
Yeah, the great Brady comeback. So, I think Shanahan, his head might be on the chopping block if they don't do something dynamic this year.
I'm totally with you on the Purdy thing. Fletch would be turning up. He's a diehard.
It
Niner
is what
fan.
it is, though.
I'm agreeing with you. He's always riding Brock Purdy, but I'm with you. Brock Purdy's a fine player. He got paid like a superstar player, and all I hear from last year is about how everyone was hurt. Trent Williams was hurt, and Debo didn't play up to standard. Except you got rid of Debo. Hufanga's gone. Greenlaw's gone. That defense is not what it was. So Purdy's going to have to pick up the slack and really get there and become the quarterback that I don't think he is, but a lot of people, the Niners, clearly believe that he is that guy.
I think Debo Samuel was an incredible talent, but I think the 49ers may have got the most out of him. I'm not sure you're going to ever see him really be that big star again. I'm kind of anxious to see how he does this year, but
in Washington,
I think he may have already peaked.
I agree with you on that. I get it from Washington perspective of you wanted number 2 behind McLaurin because they were just rolling everyone over. You need another option.
He's a tremendous receiver. Isn't he?
He's so good. I would go for quarterback that I think most pressure. Josh Allen's the obvious answer. You can't lose a Patrick Mahomes every year. Everyone says that you're on the same level as him and you come up short postseason every single year. Justin Herbert. I'm a Justin Herbert believer. I really do. I like Justin Herbert, but at some point, it's always been Brandon Staley, which I think was true, had a lot of blame to go around for the Chargers. Then
he was not a head coach.
And then Harbaugh gets there. And then last year, you don't have the receivers. And to be fair, whenever Herbert's played in a big game, whether that's the Raiders where they had to get in the playoffs or the Jacksonville when they blew the 27-3 lead. He has not come up short in these big games. At some point, Herbert has to win a big game to, go up to those expectations.
And they got Mike Williams back.
Yeah.
I wonder how many games he'll be healthy for.
4.
I got 2 quarterbacks under pressure, Lamar Jackson with the Ravens and Joe Burrow for the Bengals.
That's interesting. So Burrow, how much pressure do you think's on Burrow? Because he's the only guy to beat Patrick besides, Hurts and.
Well, they got to get him an offensive line.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
I don't know where Cincinnati's at. They seem to be kind of all over the roadmap right now.
Always have been like that.
Yeah.
Well, and it's like we're quickly go to next break, but like Burrow, it's Cincinnati's such a bad run organization in terms of they've never been thought to pay guys. Your defense is awful. You're not paying Trey Hendrickson, so he might not be there. Your first round pick, Shamar Stewart, might not be there as well because you're negotiating with him over contract rights. And you just pay Higgins and Chase. So it's like, yeah, you're going to be the same thing as last year, best offense in the league,
but you can't stop a nosebleed. So I don't really know where that puts you in the AFC. All right, coming up next, we're going to get on the Fletch Zone. Coach Marshall and I, we're going to get into the Padres a little bit, where this team needs to be, what we should be looking for the next couple weeks, where they're going to be buyers or sellers at the trade deadline. Thank you for listening on San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app. at 7 p.m. right here on San Diego Sports 760, your home for SDFC. Coach, we've been talking about this all week, and it feels like this conversation is going to continue for the next couple of weeks. But like, what do you need to see over the next 2 weeks to say that this team should be buyers at the deadline for the Padres, or are they just sellers off the jump?
Well, I think right now, for me, they're going to be sellers unless they all of a sudden turn this thing around. You get Darvish back, get Michael King back here in a timely manner, and you write Dylan Cease. But right now, I can't see this being a championship ball club. I can't see him getting in as one of the wild cards. Probably right now, the third wild card. But you know what? I don't want to chase fool's gold here. Okay, yeah, we get in the playoffs, but what does that mean? If you're going to get knocked out in the first or second round, and then have 3 or 4 of the guys on the ball club aren't going to be with you next year because they're walk away free agents. And if the Padres had a fruitful farm system where they had a bunch of guys, really close to bringing up, that'd be different. But all of our best prospects are down in A-ball right now. And, as far as Ethan Salas, and I'm a big Ethan Salas fan, but he's hurt. He's got a bad back. He's 19 years of age. That can't be good. He's hitting 188. He should have been, in my opinion, should have gone back to Fort Wayne and played high A-ball. He only hit 206 last year, the entire year. So if you had a fruitful farm system and guys were, pushing to make it to the big leagues, then I may look at it a little bit different, but we got to get something in return. If we go to the playoffs and go out in the first or second round, don't get to the World Series, then these guys are walking out the door, and you're going to be sitting here during the winter, twiddling your thumbs on trying to figure out who's doing what next year.
So we were talking about that with the the Juan Soto deal, giving up James Wood, Abrams, Gore, and it's hindsight 2020. Obviously, you wish now in retrospect you would kept those guys, but they're just prospects at the time. Do you view that differently? Because it's always kind of been, it's trade your prospects, try to get a star. At least it's how some of the big teams that have a lot of money have always kind of operated. Like, are you more in the vein of like, let these guys develop and see what you have in house versus trying to just go get one player?
Well, I'm a big draft and develop guy. I'm a big fan of good, solid scouting. And then you take your time developing. But a lot of these organizations, most of the organizations now, they do a decent job, some better than others, developing players, but they're bringing these guys up so quickly. I mean, we're seeing guys that were in last year's draft. We got a couple of those guys already in the big leagues right now. It used to be guys would be in the minor leagues for 4, 5, 6 years, some guys longer. But now, because there's so much money in these bonuses, they want to get these guys to the big leagues as quickly as they can, and it's not always beneficial for the player and not beneficial for the ball club. And usually you bring a guy up the first time, he's probably going to end up getting sent back down to the minors and make some adjustments. Next time up, he won't be as intimidated. And again, when you bring guys up, you got to play. And we were talking about Luis Camposano, and I don't know where they're at with him. I'd bring him up. I'd let one of these catchers go. I'd probably let Maldonado go and let Camposano come up, catch 2, 3, 4 days a week. I know last night he had a couple of throwing errors in AAA, but the guy's hitting 315, 0 for 18 this year with the big league ball club. But you know what? He got put in the cooler. I mean, when you bring him up, you can't play him 2 or 3 days and then let him sit around for 7 or 8 or 9 days. Bring him up and make the kid feel a part of the ball club and not feel like he's at a tryout camp at Palomar College. And, how you run your 60 in the morning and throw determines whether or not you come back and face live pitch in the afternoon like a tryout camp. Just let the guy, bring him in your office and, hey, Louis, I know you've gotten off to a tough start, but man, you're our guy. You're going to play 4 days a week. Be ready to play. Let's go get him and pat him on the back and give the kid some encouragement. And if you don't think he can play, then you know what? Move on and let him go somewhere else. But he was supposed to be once upon a time one of the Padres' top prospects. And, who knows what's going on with him. If they don't like him behind the plate, great. Trade him. It might be best for both the ball club and for Luis Camposano.
Yeah, maybe get something from him. It's like, I mean, you obviously need help there at the bottom of the lineup, so might as well give him a shot. And he has had moments. It does feel like they've kind of just dashed him and not letting him succeed too much. All right, coming up next, Steve Hartman. You all know him. He comes on for our show every Friday at 1:30. This is normally Coach's spot on Thursdays, but Coach is here with us. So Steve Hartman joining us next on the Fletch Zone. Thank you for listening on the San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app. o'clock. The U.S. is currently plus 205 to do so, while Mexico is plus 160 on the money line. If you know, you go. It's Superstar Car Wash. They're proud to have over 550,000 members. Be in the know and try what everyone loves today. Text Super CA to 27800 to get 50% off their best wash. Terms and conditions apply. Welcome back to the Fletch Zone. Minus Ben Fletcher. My name is Sammy Long. The legendary Coach John Kentera sitting in today. And this is a man who comes on our show every Friday at 1:30. And it's a happy early birthday because it is his birthday on July 4th. It is the one, the only Steve Hartman. Uncle Steve, how you doing today?
Well, I'm doing great, Sammy, but we have to wish the coach a belated happy birthday. His birthday's on the 1st. Coach and I are 3 days apart, born in the same year. And I've always kidded him. Those must have been 3 tough days for the coach. But the great Coach John Kentera. John, how you doing, man?
I'm doing well, Steve. Great to hear from you. And I can't begin to tell you how many days during a week that I talk about you and Chet and Billy Warndell and all the great times you and I had over the years, broadcasting, traveling around, going to different appearances, having breakfast at Perry's Cafe, some of the great memories of my life.
Well, no doubt about that. So, Sammy, long before you came into this world, long before, my first day on the air on the legendary 690 was October 1st of 1990. I met the coach, obviously, shortly thereafter. And, we've been tied together by history for almost 35 years. Can you believe that, Coach? 35 years.
That's amazing. You know, I started there when they were still 690 extra gold. I started in March of 1987, went officially on the payroll on April 1st, 1987, the same day that Hacksaw went on the payroll. And then, we went through the oldie station with Irv Harrigan and Paul Bloom and Wolfman Jack. And then we went to, News Talk. And then finally, John Lynch decided to bring the all sports station here. And that's when you came down from Los Angeles.
Well, the deal was the coach was doing on his own with everything else in his busy life, high school Friday night show. And Chet and I decided, hey, we got to give the coach some love here, man. We got to get people to recognize that he's got a great show. He's put a lot of work into this show. There's no social media, obviously, in those days, no internet, there's nothing. So we would bring the coach on Buttercup. That was our song to introduce the coach.
Well, there's a reason why you started calling me Buttercup, thanks to Jim Rome.
Yeah. Well, why don't you tell that story?
Well, it was the Jim Everett, Jim Rome, when he kept calling him Chrissy. And then you and Chet came up that day, said, hey, we got to do something different. I came in normally on Friday mornings to promote, what I was going to be doing on Friday night. And Chet started calling me Buttercup, and I told him I didn't like Buttercup. And we had a little bit of a free-for-all. And I remember you yelling, Coach, take it easy. You dumped iced tea all over me.
Why do you build me up, Buttercup? Well, I mean, Chet, he was an antagonist. I've always been accused of being very much an antagonist throughout my radio career, but Chet was next level. Those were crazy days way back in the day. But yeah, Coach, I hope you had a happy birthday.
Yeah,
we're getting along in years. Yeah.
Yeah, you're over in Arizona, right?
Well, actually, right now I've been in LA for the last couple of weeks because it's amazing. Even at my advanced stage, I'm suddenly in need for television again. I've been working so much TV. In fact, guys, I was at the Dodgers game last night. I got the 3,000 strikeouts, and then the Dodgers found a way to pull out another win in the 9th inning. But yeah, I was there for TV yesterday, and I felt bad for Kirsch, as he said after the game. It's not easy to strike out people when you're actually trying to strike out people. And he was bouncing pitches all over the place, trying to get guys to swing at bad pitches, and they weren't biting. But he finally got that third strikeout. And probably with as few innings as starters are going these days, I don't know how anyone's going to get the 3,000 strikeouts. Plus the fact it seems like all these top pitchers are on the shelf for a year or so, with the arm problems and everything else. Seems like the less they pitch, the more arm problems they have. So I I would dare guess that we have seen the last pitcher ever to reach 3,000 career strikeouts.
Well, I know Chris Sale, he's like 36 years of age, and he's got 400 and some change, but he's had so many injuries. But, Steve, tell us a little bit about that game last night. I watched the entire game, and right from pitch one until he threw that final pitch to strike out Capra there to end the sixth inning. I mean, I saw a lot of stress on him. He didn't have anything last night, and
he had absolutely nothing.
A lot of stress, and I loved it at the end of the fifth inning. Well, I was watching, and they panned Dave Roberts. He didn't look at Kershaw at all. And Dave Roberts had said prior to the game that he was going to manage that game different than normal. And he really had to talk a little bit about the fans, because the fans were groaning at times last night. I mean, it was a painful 6 innings.
It was very painful because, as you said, Coach, and you're absolutely right, I was there obviously for Dave Roberts' pregame press conference, and he made it absolutely clear, yeah, we want to win the game, but, his priority one was to get those 3 strikeouts. Now, no one dreamt it was going to take 6 innings to get 3 strikeouts against the second worst team in Major League Baseball. Give the White Sox credit, though. They laid off a lot of the bouncing stuff. Actually, the second strikeout was on a bounce pitch, but for the most part, they showed discipline at the plate. And they were first pitch swinging because they knew he was going to try to throw strikes to get ahead in the count. So the White Sox did a pretty good job with it. The crowd, it was an absolute sellout crowd. Think about that. I mean, guys, we're talking about a throwaway game, interleague play between the lowly White Sox and the Dodgers. It is a, Wednesday night game, and it's a full house. I mean, an absolute over-the-top full house. Where else? I mean, Petco obviously has been selling out games all over the place, but it was an amazing atmosphere. I was doing a lot of my pre-show stuff out on the exterior of the stadium, saw a lot of the fans out there, and they were decked out in their Kershaw gear. The amazing thing about Clayton Kershaw, when you look at his career, he has a higher career winning percentage and a lower career ERA than Sandy Koufax. The problem is the postseason. I mean, if you could erase his postseason, to be honest with you, there would be no argument that Kershaw's had a better career than Sandy Koufax on the whole. And certainly one of the top left-handers in the history of the game, and a surefire first ballot Hall of Famer, and really had been pitching well recently in the 4 previous starts, 4-0 with a 1.57 ERA. But he's just doing with junk, guys. I mean, and that was evident yesterday. If you can't hit your spots, they're just going to unload on you. And that was the case yesterday. I mean, he was missing spots and, laying 88-mile-an-hour pitches over the middle of the plate. And they're going to crush you with that kind of stuff. But somehow he survived long enough to get that 3rd strikeout. So put that one in the books.
Steve, what team do you think improved the most after NBA free agency?
Well, it's definitely not the Lakers. I can promise you that. I mean, look at it. Ayton is awful. Ayton is one of those guys that puts up so many deceiving stats. Like you look, he's literally had a double-double every year of his career. But then you do sort of the advanced metrics on his numbers, and you realize that he is essentially worthless. Plus the fact he signs a 2-year deal. Let's say he has a great first year. Guess what? He opts out of his deal to get a better deal. If he has a bad year, you're stuck with him for a second year. So, the Lakers are not doing anything to help themselves right now. So that's unfortunate. I think the Clippers did a great job. I mean, you retain James Harden at, frankly, a fairly affordable price. You bring in Brook Lopez. I mean, you talk about a great backup big man for Zubats, a guy that can knock down threes. I like to look at their team. And then we'll see Houston. I mean, Houston is the team. You had Durant, and how that's all going to shake out. They had to get rid of some young players, but on the whole, I think that's a pretty good team. The East is the big question. And by the way, the Knicks hiring Mike Brown, nice guy. I got to know him when he was the coach of the Lakers briefly. After his second year, he got fired 5 games into the year. He is the absolute wrong coach for New York. I have no idea. It was a knee-jerk reaction to get rid of Tibbs and then to bring in Mike Brown. Are you kidding? So I don't know. It's a little early still to see who got the best of it, but I promise you this, the Lakers did not.
Hey, let me ask you this. With Dodger ownership eventually going to take over here with the Lakers. Rob Pelinka going to be out. And what do you forecast for LeBron James? He wants to keep his name in the media day in and day out. And I don't know. I've always and really, really enjoyed watching him play, Steve, but his act is really wearing thin on me right now.
Well, Johnny, here's the deal. I mean, he would have taken less money, but he wanted a multi-year deal. And this is where Mark Walter, who's taken over the Lakers, stepped in. So we're not giving this guy a multi-year deal. Right now, the only person safe is Luka Doncic, and they're going to have to scramble to get him signed to that contract extension because I'm sure he's looking around like, what the hell's going on here? The Lakers are going to be the same team they were last year. They have no flexibility as far as their the salary cap is concerned. And people are like, obviously there's no salary cap in baseball, so you can buy your way as the Dodgers have to all that talent. You can't do that in the NBA. And it's not even about luxury tax because if you go over the cap, you're penalized in terms of the draft. I mean, you could have the 10th pick in a draft. If you're over the tax, they'll knock that pick all the way to the back of the first round. So the league is really trying to tighten up in terms of guys trying to buy the way. But where you can spend that money is on coaches. I mean, people did not understand this. The Buss family had no money. They only had the money. They have money now because of the sale of the team, but they did not have any money. They had to settle for second-tier coaches like the Darvin Hams of the world and the Vogels and obviously the J.J. Redicks of the world. So the reality, Coach, is that, nobody is safe outside of Luka Doncic. This is going to be a do-over. They're desperately trying right now to trade LeBron James. I mean, they're right now as we speak, they are desperately trying to find somebody that's willing to take a soon a 41-year-old player going into his 23rd year and a $52 million salary off their hands. Good luck.
Uncle Steve, what's birthday plans tomorrow?
So tomorrow is pretty quiet. Actually, I'm going to just do a little brunch with my family. I'm up here. Actually, my daughter's in Nashville right now, but the boys are here. Denise is here, and but I work tomorrow night. This is the whole thing. When you work in the sports business, and the coach knows this. You're always working on holidays. You work on Thanksgiving. That's a sports day. Work on Christmas. It's a sports day. So holidays really mean nothing. I hope you're ready for this, Sammy. You'll have to understand this. If you choose this industry for the next 40 years, you're rarely going to see anybody on holidays. So, yeah, I'm going to have a little get together. I think I'll get a couple of Starbucks cards. I think that's pretty much I get. And then it's off to work doing TV tomorrow night.
Steve, whenever, and I know you get hit up by a lot of young people that want to get into this business. The first thing I tell them before we start talking about, kind of the brass tacks of the business, I go, well, first of all, if you don't want to work nights, weekends, and holidays, you better look for another profession.
Well, Coach, and obviously people, look, I basically worked 7 days a week for over 20 years.
I know you did.
That's 7 days a week between radio and TV for 20 plus years. So not everyone is cut out to do that, but like you, Coach, and like Sammy, because I've known Sammy for 10 years plus, I have to over 10 years. Look, if sports is your passion, and that's what you want in life, I've always said my vocation is my advocation. So there's no difference there. And you do something you love to do and you really never have to work. But there's a lot of sacrifice with that when you have a family, and there's no question about that. So, it's hard. You try your best to balance it out. But if you want to stay in this business, as long as we have all these years, you got to say yes. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Are you? Yes. Can you? Yes. Can you do? Yes. Can you do weekend? Yes. Can you do over? Yes. You can. Yes, yes, yes. As long as you keep saying yes, and you stay in the game, then you can maintain forever. I mean, it's hard to believe that tomorrow I'll be 67 years old, but that's the reality. And I'm still working a ton. And my dad was retired. I don't know about you, Coach, your dad. But my dad retired at 63. And he lived to be 89. My grandfather, my dad's dad, he retired at 62 and he lived to be 97. And I'm like, what did you do with your time? I mean, after I left San Diego and cut back on my schedule, it was just like, wow, I got a lot of time on my hands. So I enjoy working, and but my biggest highlight of my week, Sammy, is coming on this show. This is it.
It's the greatest highlight of our week.
Because here's the thing, people of San Diego have to know. I owe San Diego so much for my career. If it wasn't for 690, no one on the planet would have ever heard of Steve Hartman. That's good or bad. I love San Diego, and I loved living in San Diego. I was so happy and excited to get back to San Diego for a while. There's no better place on earth. There's just no better place on earth than San Diego. And of course, Sammy, you're working with an institution right there, the coach, John Kentera. No more synonymous with the great city of San Diego. And by the way, as a coach, I was really, really sorry to hear the passing of our dear friend Scott Miller, man. That was rough.
Yeah, that was rough. He fought a very courageous battle for,
I know he did,
for almost 2 years with pancreatic cancer. And yeah, just a marvelous guy. And, you talk, Stephen, I know we got to get to a break here, but the thing about Scotty, he was another guy, no matter where he was, unless he was interviewing somebody in a dugout somewhere or traveling, he didn't know the word no in his vocabulary when we would call him to come on the air.
Yeah, I mean, that is the bottom line in our business. Everyone say you have a dream job, and you were like, yeah, we do have a dream job. We have a dream job. We never have to work. All we have to do is talk. So my dad used to kid me all the time. He goes, son, talking sports is not exactly a job. And I said, Dad, you're right about that, but it's a hell of a way to make a living. So going to keep it going as long as possible. That is for sure.
Hey, happy birthday, and always great to hear your voice, man. A lot of great memories, a lot of love coming from this microphone back at you.
Absolutely. Love you, Coach. And again, a happy birthday to you. And Sammy, my love for you. You're going to be 40 years from now when the coach and I are well into our hundreds and you're talking to us. You will remember this conversation we had on the 3rd of July, 2025.
Uncle Steve, you're the best. Happy birthday. It is truly an honor being on air with both of you. So I love you, man. And we'll do this again next Friday.
All right, Sammy, Coach, great to talk to you guys. Enjoy your 4th.
Be well, Steve.
All right, that is the legendary Steve Hartman. He is truly right. It really is a trippy experience sitting next to you, Coach, and Steve, two absolute legends. Two people you think of San Diego, you think of those two names right there. So
it sounds like he was at your 8th grade graduation.
He literally he wasn't at the 8th grade, but Steve. I've known Steve forever. He's the best.
I got a lot of good stories, Mr. Hartman and Mr. Forty and Mr. Wendell. We had a lot of fun together.
Oh, I bet. All right, coming up on the Fledge, so we're gonna close this thing out and get you ready for the 4th of July. Thank you for listening on the San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app. sportssd.com. Next chance to win $1,000 coming up at 2 p.m. on San Diego Sports 760. Rich McGuire here on Coach and Harmon in the same segment. Bring on Ernie Martinez for the trifecta.
Oh, hey, I got news on Ernie Martinez. His son, Henry, plays for the Poway Little League team, and they've got a big all-star game tonight.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Hopefully Henry's got a little more talent on the diamond than Ernie did, but Ernie played at Escondido High School, and I've got to mention Ernie is one of the greatest guys, and I work with some incredible guys in this business, okay? Ernie Martinez is the hardest working guy, and I can't begin to tell you the great stories on Ernie. I worked with Ernie for 25 years, and he covered the Padres. He got to the point where he was like a senior guy, and they used to let him ask the first question to Bruce Bochy in the post game. And I'll never forget, me and Boch for a couple of years, we did what they called the Boch and Coach show. I do the pregame interview. Yeah. And I remember one night I was in there and Towers was in there. It's when we were at Qualcomm. And Ernie gets down on his knee by Boch's desk and has his microphone and puts it in Boch. He goes, "Okay, Coach." He goes, "I mean, Boch." He got all confused. But
that's
Ernie
awesome.
is he is the salt of the earth. Oh, he's an incredible human being, hardworking guy. A lot of love for Ernie Martinez.
Yeah, Ernie Martinez is the great. And I told you off air, I said in the last segment, it truly is an honor being on with you, Coach. San Diego loves you. Steve says right. You and Steve, when you think of San Diego, I think of you too. So 100%. Text line, truly great, or 619, truly great to have a coach on today. He is the absolute best. So everyone loves you. And Marshall, you got something over there?
I just want to say it's an honor, Coach. And Sammy, thank you guys. Been a pleasure serving with you.
Well, I appreciate you and Sammy and Marshall. You guys have made this very easy for me. Mary Ayala, Mike Usher, who handled this station. A lot of respect. Worked with Mike for a number of years when I was part of 690. He was working for Kogo, and Mary Ayala, I've always had a tremendous amount of respect for her, and I consider her a friend. I appreciate the invite to come down and hang out with you guys for a couple of days.
Oh, you're the best, Coach. Coach can be found on San Diego Sports Talk on YouTube. He does lives Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays at 9 a.m. He also will do some Thursday night shows as well at 7 p.m. Coach, it's the best. You're the greatest. Marshall, you're the man, killing it back there. Hope everyone has a great 4th of July. And
happy 4th to you, Benny, or to Sammy, and a very happy 4th to you, Marshall, and to all of our great listening audience out there.
Everyone, don't drink too much tomorrow, or do, because you got a long weekend to get rid of it. So see you back Monday. Fletch will be back, and see you on the Fletch Zone starting at 12 on Monday.